Big Herc 916, positivity, motivation. Never settle for average. Go pick you up some merch at bigherc916.com. You know how we do it. I got that never settle for average. I got that muscle up. And I got that wash your ass soap. All available at bigherc916.com. So, hey man, do a little shopping and represent. I just wanted to lace you guys up a little bit on plea agreements. You know, when you're dealing with charges, you know, as far as after being arrested, and some of the stuff you see going on with the YSL Young Thug Rico thing. I'm not offering any legal advice, but I'm just giving you a little bit of information because a lot of you guys have no clue. Most of you guys have never read a law book. You know, you probably never picked up anything to do with the Constitution. You don't know your rights. You're just running around doing shit in the street and you're thinking it's thug life. But there's a lot more to it than that. And most of these gangsters don't tell you about it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of something because I spent quite a bit of time in the law library studying and was around a lot of guys in the feds who were tied in with Rico cases, conspiracies, and things of that nature. I had a conspiracy case and conspiracy for bank robbery, possession of a firearm, use of a firearm, and commission of a crime. And you know, initially you get indicted, you get arraigned, you got your preliminaries, and then that's when you start getting your discovery. Now, state, you got a lot more wiggle room than you do in the feds, but the basis as far as the cases, how they are brought, is similar with discovery. And Rico cases, because you have more than one person and you're talking about criminal activity that's been ongoing and most likely under investigation for a while, you have co-conspirators, and they utilize whatever they've gathered from a co-conspirator to prosecute you. And a lot of that comes in a form of discovery. You know, you don't initially get to see your discovery until you start going to court and they bring forth the charges, and they can also bring forth a superseding indictment, add more felony counts, and gradually your attorney will present you with the discovery. You got to go through it. There could be recordings. There could be all kind of stuff, man. And that's what determines whether or not you start, you know, figure out, okay, if you go to trial, how can you beat this? You go to trial, how can you beat that? And also, it affects your co-defendants on whether or not they're going to start telling. And, you know, sometimes, you know, people have told and you don't even know it because they'll get a separate team. And whenever you're fighting a case, you're not going to, most likely, give us a conflict of interest, you're not going to have the same attorney. You have a different attorney than your co-defendant. Your co-defendant's attorney is going to work for the best interest of their client. And if that's to take a deal, to get the less time, they're going to convince that individual to take the lesser time. And if they plead out, they're pleading to facts and admitting certain things to be true, which means, you know, hey, you committed this act, you committed that act. And it's a mission of the facts in the criminal complaint. Doesn't mean you necessarily said anything, but they're saying that you're admitting. Now, somebody could have actually gave a statement, and what was said in that statement could have been used in the plea agreement to say, hey, you're validating these facts that you committed this act with this individual, and therefore you're basically tied into these allegations. Now, the person who holds out, if you were to decide to go to trial and you had 4, you know, 2 or 3, 4 or 5, however many co-defendants that already admitted to all these allegations, the case is stacked against you, man. Beating a Rico would, you know, unless everybody goes to trial, which, you know, there's been situations you got bikers who do not, you know, who have went to trial. None of them said anything and the charges were dropped. You know, they rode that shit out. There's been other situations that people just rode it out, but as soon as one person cracks, the wall crumbles. And that leads to, that could be used against you. They could also possibly have a clause where that person might, you know, come back to court to testify. I've had that situation where, you know, if you go to trial, they could have your co-defendant come to court to testify because they already took a deal, and then that could be part of their deal where they would have to admit certain things. And if that person's on the same complaint as you and has admitted certain allegations which implicate you, you will be basically assumed to be guilty, especially when you're in front of a jury. And, you know, when you start going to jury trial, you guys don't know nothing about that shit, man. There's a lot of little things as far as when you're dealing with a jury trial that are basically could be questionable. And you always want to have a trial by jury rather than a trial by a judge. Because if it's left in the judge's hands, he make the final decision. If you got a jury by your peers, then you got, you know, 12 people who, be determining the outcome, and it only takes a couple people for you to get a hung jury. But like I said, when you're dealing with a Rico and you have, you know, discovery and all type of other things, it's a whole nother animal. And, you know, people talk, you know, you got, and these, you know, a lot of these rappers, I don't know why you expect these guys to be so gangster because, you know, they putting Instagram and showing guns and this and that. Man, those dudes it's not that life, man. You're not, most of them have no military training. They have no military, therefore they have really no core values on what it takes to be counter-interrogation. You know, they teach you, you know, certain things. If you get captured, this happens. I mean, there's a lot of psychological. If you haven't had that, and I know I've been around a lot of people in the military, and I've been around a lot of criminals from juvenile hall on up, man, and I was way out of my league. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm not gonna act like I was no super thug gangster. I was around some gangster shit, and I've been involved in some gangster shit, but you're way out of your league when you start talking about people who have took psychology class, who have studied, and these criminals have never been locked in a room with AC on, hungry, cold, you know, sleep deprived. You know, they got the lights on all day. You know, these dudes are used to their baby mamas. They used to being on pills. They're used to being high. They're used to, you know, having certain things. And you don't have any of that. They'll squeeze your ass. Most of these dudes talk in less than an hour. Less than an hour. All you gotta do is offer them a soda pop. So, you know, it's not even no competition, you know, and then don't let the feds get involved and they start bringing in master interrogators. These dudes they're done. So you guys are looking up to these dudes like, oh man, the game, these guys is not the game. The game is, the guys in the game ain't really even on, they're not on social media. Like, they're not talking about their business. They're on a whole nother level. They're not rapping about it, for one, because they don't want nobody to be looking at them like that. But man, you know, people say a lot of things about the Rico and you know, oh man, I beat a Rico. Man, look, man, there's very few people I've seen beat Rico. And if, you know, the most of the people who beat their cases, they don't have co-defendants. They don't have no co-defendants. It's just them. You do your dirt by yourself. Nobody knows but you. You got to tell yourself. As soon as you have a co-defendant, you're the potential for somebody to tell on you. You know, unless you're telling on yourself, I mean, shit, you have no co-defendants, you ain't got nothing to worry about. But that's the thing, you know, you run around with these cats, man, most of them, you know, they still sucking their thumb. They're not really, you know, cut out for this type of life, man, and it seems fun, but these guys are getting knocked off in their 20s. They ain't like they old G's in their 30s and 40s. They're not even seasoned. And if you haven't really been around a lot of shit and been, like, schooled, then it's not really for you. And the streets it's not nothing to really look to anyways. You should have been in a damn trade, man. Most of you little babies, you should have been doing something righteous with your life. You're doing stupid shit, man, and what you getting, couple hundred bucks, couple thousand. I mean, you're wasting your life. And then everybody's, oh man, so-and-so gonna told, this guy told, oh man, let's start a black snitch committee. Look, man, start a black community business association and get your little asses out the street doing dumb shit, and you won't have to worry about Ricos and conspiracies, because they're using that Rico to hit all these little gangs, all you little cats run around, gangster rappers. They gonna start knocking asses off one by one. I've been talking about it. And I'm just trying to put you up on game, man, because I'm telling you, man, life is so much more. You sitting up in there, and after a while, when everybody forgets about you, your baby mama done moved on, maybe somebody done passed through on the street, people done moved, phone numbers changed, man, shit. You got guys up in there 20, 30, man, dude, it ain't like anybody up in there. People on the street forget about it. They don't have time for your shit. They don't have time for your shit, man. So, yeah, man, you go crack a law book open before you start thinking you a real gangster, and start going through and reading some of the definitions of shit before you think you're going to go and be some hell of a dude, and you're just letting your attorney tell you everything. Because half the shit they tell you, you don't know anyway. You just nod your head. I'm just trying to lace you up on a little something, man, because I've been through the system multiple times and took my family through hell, so I know what the outcome could be, and I'm just trying to tell you there's a lot of other options out there. Big Herc 916, man. Stop walking around with a crusty butt, smelly ball sack, and a funky hoo-ha. Big Herc said, wash that ass. Pick you up a t-shirt at freshoutseries.com. Hello, I'm Big Herc 916. Contact me for life coaching and motivational speaking.